Hello, everybody. So, we are once again reviewing three books, starting off with the book that my friend lended me. It's his favorite book, so I have to be careful with what I say. It's called All That's Left in the World. It is a gay romance book, and this will be the fourth gay romance book that I have read. This is set in basically our world, but if COVID actually killed every single person. This is set post-apocalyptic, post-COVID basically, except they call it the super flu. Can you tell this is a quarantine book? Because this is a quarantine book. It's written in 2020, which is like, wow, dude, I didn't know that. And when the similarities started like linking up my head, I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy. That's crazy. Um, I think it's nice. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about romance books in general. Not that it's bad, it's more of they're easy to read, they're fun to read. I just don't know if it'll push. I don't know if I'll read a romance book that will push itself over the threshold of this is a great book. Because generally, I also don't. I'm not a big fan of romance in general. Man, I didn't watch Heartstopper, and I did not like Love Simon. So I'm not a very romance guy. Doesn't mean I won't read romance books because I think it's a really easy to read, and it's really easygoing because the stakes aren't high. The stakes are as high as a romance book can go. Like, worst thing that can happen is the guy dies, but I know that's not gonna happen because my friend told me, and also he has a sequel. So I know that's not gonna happen. So the whole time I was reading this, even though there was conflicts in the middle, one of them was like they got chased off by a gang. I guess happens in a lot of post-apocalyptic worlds. And the other one was he got chased in a zoo by a lion. And there was a scene where it's supposed to be kind of like maybe Jameson is dead. Maybe Jameson is dead. Jameson is the guy. It's Andrew and Jameson. And build up of suspense. Except I know he's not gonna die because I know there's a sequel. So that kind of ruined it for me. Well, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Problem that I have personally, not of the book. It's just my own personal problem. These guys are cringy, but I think that's just how number one teenagers talk, and number two how people in love talk, and that's just something that I have to get used to. It's rough. It's really rough. These people were like 16 or something. I don't know how old they are, but they aren't old. I would say 16. 18? Sa tao. By the age, it's kind of, yeah, the writing did a good job. This is how people talk. And also, to love is to cringe. I think I'm going to edit it at that. To love is to cringe. This is a cringy book, but in the love way. It's nice. It's nice. And it's way easier to read than this freaking book, which I'll talk about later. That's gonna be a last one, but this is great. Thank you so much for lending it to me. I love it. And hopefully I'll read the next one. Yeah. What rating do I give it? What rating did I give the other? What? Wait. What rating did I give it for the binding? Because, okay, like I said, I don't know if I'll read any romance book that will push itself over the threshold. So I think I'm gonna give it the same rating. Mm, mm, 7, 7 out of 10. Okay, next book, Sankofa. This one's on me. I need to stop buying general fiction books about identity and self-discovery. I looked at the cover, I liked it, and then I picked it. Except it literally says a fantastic novel about a woman's search for her identity. Dude, I don't want to do that. Damn boring. It was quite boring actually. It's not as boring as it could have been. This book is about a mixed person, half black, half white, finding a diary of her dad who basically disappeared and left the family after her mom got pregnant. So she never met him. Her mom was white, her dad is black, and then she finds a diary and she wants to basically go back to her roots in this West African country that I'm pretty sure does not exist. Bamana. Banama? Ba Banama? I don't know how to pronounce it. So that's whole shtick. Um, I am tired of reading about mixed people talking about mixed problems where the mixed problem is literally just I don't know where I belong, you know? At least this book is a bit more interesting because her father is the president of the country, or used to be the president of the country. Now it's been overthrown, and now he's kind of like trying to get back into the scene. But at least there's that section, that part of the story that isn't straight up just, am I black enough? Am I white enough? Where do I belong? You know? Don't get me wrong, there is that part, and I really did not enjoy it. But it is what it is. It is what it is. She finds the diary right after her mother dies, and then she also goes through a divorce, which, by the way, a lot of random similarities between this self-discovery book and the other self-discovery book, The Human Zoo. That one's set in the Philippines, this one's set in West Africa. Both about women who went through a divorce and then went back to their home country. So very coincidental. Anyways, this lady named Anne, Anna, named Anna. She wants to find out her lineage basically, and then so she finds out that yes, he was the president of Bamana, but also that he was not great. As most politicians and presidents go, he was basically a dictator and also killed a bunch of people who were against his policies. And so she's kind of conflicted, but she still wants to meet him in person. She goes to Bamana, and then this is where the mixed thing comes. She's like, I don't know where I belong. This is supposed to be my land, but I don't know these people. I don't speak their language. They don't look like me. Everybody calls me a brony here. And a brony is basically, I'm pretty sure I don't know if it's a real word or not. Because this is just like an amalgamation of, I'm pretty sure Bamana is just an amalgamation of West African cultures. So I don't know which specific language it would be. But a brony basically means guaylo, like foreigner. And so she's like, everybody calls me guaylo here. What am I to do? You know? Boring. I don't like that story trope. But I have to read it anyways because I bought it. So that's the whole shtick. In the end, it's a she meets her dad, and then her dad was surprise, yes, just as evil as everyone says he is, but he's also good. You know, he's like, I made Bamana what it is today. There would be no Bamana if there wasn't me. I did what I had to do. Basically, you know, every single politician's like whole spiel. And then she decides to stay in Bamana for a while longer to kind of reconnect with her family because this is the only family that she has. I mean, which is kind of messed up because she does have a daughter and a husband that which the divorce papers aren't finalized, but anyways, yeah, so I want to reconnect. That's the whole shtick. Sankofa is a real life symbol. Bird looking back. It means something roughly along the lines of bringing what's good from the past to the present to do better for the future. Something like that. It's a Akan symbol. That's what I read from Wikipedia. So don't trust me on that. That's just what the internet says. That's what Wikipedia says. And I'll take it for it. Very fitting, you know, looking back in the past for the good. Her president and dad being evil, but also kind of good. And she's like, maybe this is how it goes, you know. You have to accept it and then continue on with life. By the way, her dad sent her to prison as like a lesson, I guess. I don't know. That was a thing. She got over it really quickly. which is really funny. But that's Sankofa. Sankofa, all the in the world. And then lastly, People of Abandoned Character. Now this book is the first is a debut novel by Clare Whitfield. So I will cut her some slack. I think the writing in this is a bit long-winded. In the man, get to the point way. This is set in old-timey England, where it's the story based off of Jack Ripper, kind of a retelling, re interpretation is interpretation of the Jack the Ripper story. I actually don't know Jack the Ripper story. I just know Jack the Ripper because he is Jack the Ripper. I don't know exactly what he does. So this is yes, this might be a Daughters of the Dead Empire situation. Might be. So we follow a nurse called what is her name? I don't know her name. That's not good. That's not good. What's her name? Oh, Susanna. Her name was Susanna. So she was a nurse, but then she got courted and then she then married a very handsome and supposedly wealthy doctor, surgeon. And then she stopped being a nurse. But she really liked being a nurse. Surprise, surprise, the rich doctor surgeon was not a good husband. He is abusive. And not just not in the start, but he was very temperamental. And then at the end, he started being abusive. But at the start, he was very temperamental, can't really control anything, and so just not a good vibe to be around. He then starts to just go missing on nights without any explanation, and then one day he comes back with blood and scratch marks on him. So, Susanna being a nurse, she's like, I know blood when I see it, and then he hits her. And then she's like, ugh. And that basically happened for a whole like 300 pages. Just bits and pieces of like, my husband's doing something fishy. I just don't know what it is. The housemaid is also really suspicious and really mean. Her name is Mrs. Wiggs. Very mean housemaid. Yeah. And Susanna does not like her. She does not like Susanna. Got that whole thing going on. Like I said, this is an adaptation of Jack the Ripper story. So I guess as an audience, you're kind of to believe that he was Jack the Ripper. Now, the thing about reading crime and thriller books is that yes, I love a good mystery, except I hate gore. And I think this is on me for picking a story about Jack the Ripper because the last few chapters, Susanna had to kill someone and also like mutilate them to save herself from the killer. And that was a hard read. I will admit I did not read the whole chapter. I literally skimmed barely through the pages to make sure that I was done with the gore part. So I am kind of confused of who Jack the Ripper is. Okay, now, okay, let me set the scene for the characters. There is Susanna, Mrs. Wiggs. There is the husband, and then there is this Jewish guy. Him being Jewish is a character arc plot point because at that time people did not like the Jewish people. So this Jewish doctor, who is also rivals with her husband, I'm gonna say that they both were Jack the Ripper Wait, now I'm thinking about it. No, they weren't. They were under organization that did the killings, which the news then kind of all attributed to one person named Jack the Ripper. But they're all doctors and they all did black market stuff. You know, they tried to get organs to sell, and that's the whole stick of the story. Hello, again, it's a new session. Um, so I think all that's left is closing thoughts about the book and then closing thoughts about everything. So, like I said, that's who I'm pretty sure the writer wanted Jack the Ripper to be. Um, so this is the writer's first book, is a debut novel, and it kind of shows. I feel like the writing itself, it's a bit draggy and maybe not engaging enough. The story, I like the story's premise, right? It's an adaptation of Jack the Ripper. You got a killer on the loose, and now as a reader, after reading the book, I'm like, oh, the killer is not really a killer, it's like a organization of people. And so the main person that we all thought was the killer wasn't actually the killer or something like that. And you're going through it in the eyes of the wife, you know. So it's interesting. The wife's a nurse. She supposedly knows all this, and then she also has an interest in these stories. Throughout the book, you see her pick up these newspapers to kind of get lost in role play ish. She likes going to the locations and kinds of playing detective to see what happens. So it's an interesting story. Susanna is a lesbian. That is a plot point I forgot existed. It Now that I think about it, a lot of the story is just about Susanna herself and not that much about the actual murder mystery. So I think that's why it didn't feel engaging enough because this, you can't just be like, oh, it's an adaptation of Jack the Ripper, but then have two-thirds of the book about Susanna and not Jack the Ripper. And then there was a twist at the end where you find out that it wasn't her husband, it was the secret organization. I think that's why it didn't feel as satisfying. Okay, move going back to the point. She is a lesbian, but her lover died. Her name was Aisling. She died in from one of the patients because they're both nurses. So Aisling was like treating a drunk patient, and then he just stabbed her, and then she died. Uh, Also, Suzanne has trauma because her mother was a prostitute, but then she died from one of her clients, and then yeah, and also her husband, the current husband, is gay or at least goes to gay brothel houses. So look, there's a lot, and none of them is about the actual Jack the Ripper mystery, which is definitely a choice, right? I get it. You want to write a different story or a story that isn't just about the murders because you know there's life aside from that. I don't feel it. I don't vibe with it. I think it's too all over the place and you it kind of loses focus because now that I'm saying it out loud, there's too many things happening. A lot of things that's not needed at all. I guess it kind of all correlates somehow because in the end the husband wanted to kind of get rid of her for no reason actually. Like yes, she was doing her own like sniffing and scouting on herself, but the husband didn't seem like he in any way was threatened by her figuring it out. You know, it actually seems like he actually hates her and doesn't care about her. So I don't understand why he would want to get rid of her. Because in the end, he tried to like send her to a mental hospital, and he was like, "You're a lesbian. Go fix it." I'm gonna send you away. I don't know. So actually, see, I don't understand why he would even want her sent away because the whole story, it didn't seem like yes, he hated her, but in like an abusive husband way, you know, like they don't get rid of their wives. So I don't understand why he would do that. Um, and she really didn't seem like a threat to the organization as well. The only threat to the organization, which we found out at the end, was the husband because he was like a lousy surgeon. And all he did was talk about how he's in the organization without doing anything. So all he did was spread secrets. So he ended up needing to be killed, which did happen. He did die by the Jewish doctor. So there's that. Overall, 5 out of 10. Like I said, it's you want to write a crime and thriller mystery book, focus on the crime and thriller and mystery, not about Susanna's past like history. Whoa, it rhymed. 5 out of 10. Did I rate Sankofa? Sankofa, 5 out of 10. All That's Left in the World, 7 out of 10. Although I don't like romance books, this gets a plus because it was the easiest to read out of the other two. And thank God it's not a self discovery book.